Tagani, a former Biden donor who went to prison on campaign finance and tax charges. In part, he believes, because his last name isn't Biden. He filed a legal brief offering that to help the court decide whether to accept Hunter's newest plea deal. And he joins us now. Mr. Tagani, thank you very much for being here. Good to have you.
Thanks for having me, Martha.
So you had a liquor distribution business, and now President Biden was considering a run in 2008, and as I understand it, Hunter and Bo approached you and said, look, we need $75,000 for billboards. What happened then?
I raised the money for them, and then 2 years later, the government looked at a interview in a local newspaper, and then they investigated the contributions and found out that they were made through my company, through my employees through the company, and that was a violation of the law.
So your employees, did they encourage you? Did Hunter and Bo Biden say, look, you can just divvy this money up? Did they give you a plan for raising this money? Because it's obviously a lot higher than $2,600, which is the personal limit.
The person who did that was Dennis Toner, and that's the campaign manager. Bo and Hunter talked to me about it at the bar after the third debate at Drexel University, and then Dennis came over and said, how many employees do you have you can trust? I said, all of them. He said, have them write a check and reimburse them. They know exactly what's going on. They knew exactly what's going on then. That's why they have people like me that were considered bundlers or people who could raise money. So yeah, sure, they know exactly what's going on.
So what did they do to help you when the FBI came knocking?
Well, when the FBI came knocking, being a law-abiding citizen, I sat down and talked to them and was happy to do so. And the minute that, and I cooperated with them. So the mitigating factor in my case was that I cooperated with the government. And when Dennis Toner and I spoke, and he said he didn't know what I was talking about, the very next day they unsealed the indictment. They would not let me go talk to the Bidens, and they would not. Now it certainly makes sense what I was suspecting back then certainly makes sense now.
What do you mean by that?
Well, that they were protecting the Bidens then, they're protecting the Bidens now, and I think that the evidence is overwhelming that when Attorney General Merrick Garland said that he treats like cases alike, that's really what upset me, because I can tell you that, no, sir, you do not. You do not treat like cases alike, and that's why I filed my intent to file a brief called an amicus brief, and to help the court understand, because she's required under statute 18 U.S. Code section 3553A6, she's required to enter a sentence of one of the 7 factors that avoids disparate sentences of defendants who have been committed defendants with similar records who have been found guilty of similar conduct. And normally that's done to protect people from getting a sentence that's higher than they should get. But in this case, it's to guard against somebody getting a sentence that's much lower than other people got. Hunter's tax loss is in the millions of dollars. It's the highest tax loss that Delaware has ever had, aside from a drug dealer or somebody that is charged with other multiple crimes. But this is a misdemeanor with a tax loss of over $1 million.
Yeah.
My tax loss was $361,000, and I was in jail for 2 years.
For 2 years. It's extraordinary. And as you point out, generally these plea deals are done with the highest chargeable offense. This is completely not that. This is really the lowest in many ways. Quick thoughts, sir, and then I got to let you go. But thank you.
In fact, he is Hunter, and one of the things I point out is that Hunter's the only person that's charged under this statute with a standalone misdemeanor in Delaware in the last 30 years. But in fact, it's probably for history. No one has ever been charged as a standalone misdemeanor with failure to file without a primary charge of tax evasion, which they even have in the statement of facts that they report. He told his California accountants that he underreported income and tried to deduct things. So they certainly could do a more even job. I hope that the court will consider my brief and what impact that people who have been through the process and who have been treated
that's a great point.
Evenly.
And, yeah, you did your time for 2 years, and now you'd like the court to take that into consideration when they look at this in judging all people equally under the law. Chris Tagani, thank you very much, sir. It's good to talk to you today.
Thanks, Martha.
All right.